Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. I love talking to creative people. Today, my guest is creative times 10. She does a million different things. She does them all really well. Her name is Hillary Carlip. I first met her in around 2006. I think she had a memoir out then called Queen of the Oddballs that talks about her various adventures in entertainment. She was in the movie Xanadu as a juggler. She was on the Gong Show and juggled there and sang a song. And her latest project is a pop-up book, of all things, called Willis, Wonderland, The Legendary House of Atomic Kitsch. And it's a pop-up book about the home of her friend, Allee Willis, the late great songwriter of such songs as September by Earth, Wind & Fire, Boogie Wonderland, The Friends theme. There was a documentary about her called The World According to Allee Willis that just hit Hulu that I did a podcast about back last year. So this is now a new project about the home of Allee Willis, which I got to go do a little tour yesterday. Hillary had me over, and it's just amazing. All the different things, all the kitschy things, the way it's decorated. It's got a Pee-wee's Playhouse feel, but with a real love of pop culture, and it's amazing. And so Hillary had never done a pop-up book before, but the idea was proposed to her, and she worked with some designers, and she figured it out. And holding it in your hands, you just can't believe the ingenuity and the beauty and it's just a delight. So I was so excited to talk to her about how you make a pop-up book. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by me. I do it. I love it. It brings me a lot of joy, but there are a few things you can do to support it if you like it too. You can go to DennisAnyone.net and leave a tip in my virtual tip jar. Or you could just cut out the website surfing and go to my Venmo, which is Dennis-Hensley on Venmo. The other thing is I just started a Patreon. I'm 2 episodes in. We've already had some people joining, which I appreciate so much. I do a half-hour episode every week with different elements in it. Lots of So This Happened, lots of observation deck. I talk about my happiness, my interest in the field of the science of happiness, and other just kind of fun, different things. I dig back into my magazine days and talk about somebody who's still in the moment and share my memories. So it's really fun. So go to patreon.com and search Dennis Anyone. And for those of you that have already signed up, I really appreciate it. I love doing it. It's kind of like when you were a kid and you would do a variety show, and now you're going to do this and all of that. So check that out at patreon.com. The other thing you can do is become a subscriber to DNR Studios. I'm part of a group of shows under the Derek and Romaine podcast banner family, and for a monthly fee, you get my show early, and you get all these other cool queer shows. So check that out at dnrstudios.com. All right, enough of the plugs. Here is my interview with Hillary Carlip. Joining me now from beautiful North Hollywood, California, it's Hillary Carlip. She is the designer and the co-author of the new book, Willis, Wonderland, The Legendary House of Atomic Kitsch. And it is a pop-up book, and it is spectacular. And I'm so excited to talk to you. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much. And thanks for the kind words about the book. Well, we met years ago when you had your memoir, and we did a few things together. I'm trying to remember what it was or how we met or whatever, but I always thought you were really impressive and very good at a lot of things. So nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here.
Yes. So Allee Willis is a songwriter who is sadly no longer with us. There was a documentary about her that we featured on the podcast several months ago called The World According to Allee Willis.
In fact, it's on Hulu right now.
Oh, the documentary is on Hulu, so people need to watch it.
Yes, it just started streaming on Hulu, and it's not to be missed.
Well, she's one of a kind, as you see in that documentary, but the house that she lived in North Hollywood is just this museum of kitsch. It's so fabulous, and you created a pop-up book that is one of the most beautiful, detailed, fun things I've ever seen in my life. How did this come to you? How did this happen?
Thank you. Well, I've actually known Allee since the early 80s, and we have collaborated and been friends for just many years. So after her passing, her partner, Prudence, who you spoke with, started the Wonderland Foundation to carry on her legacy and also to empower the next generation of artists. And I did a lot of things. I helped her form that in the beginning and did the branding for the foundation, the logo, and artwork, etc. And she just thought, Allie's wish, she wanted the house to be a museum.
Right.
But it's a little difficult to, really, after a lot of research, they found to make that happen and then have a few people visit here and there. It just wasn't the best use of the house. So one of the things she thought is, why not do a pop-up book of the house and Allie's kitsch collection?
Right.
Just because it's so kind of next level as was Allie.
Right. And so she reached out to you and said, hey, you want to do a pop-up book?
Did. Yeah, and I was sure, knowing nothing about them, but always game to jump into anything creative.
Reading about it in the book, there's like credits like paper engineer, and I want to get into all of the how you do a pop-up book. But first, do you remember your first meeting with Allie? Do you remember your first impression?
Gosh, I don't remember the very first meeting, but I remember early impressions. And she was just always larger than life, totally going for things full out. And we were very similar in the way of like not being limited, of like pursuing creativity in many different forms.
I could see you being kindred spirits that way, right? Like visually, you're musically, all of these different things that you do, and not putting any limits on yourself. This book has 8 tableaus, 8 different things, and I got to tour the house yesterday. You were nice enough to let me come over, and I got to see the book next to the room that inspired it. When you started this, I'm going to make a pop-up book of Allie's house. I've never made a pop-up book before. What is step 1? What do you do first?
Well, step 1 was research, like how do you make a pop-up book?
Yeah.
And started also researching the world of, they're called movable books. So there's like a movable book society and things like that. So in my research, I found, you need a paper engineer.
Yeah.
And what is that? And it's someone who literally engineers like how all the folds work and the pull tabs and how it all works. So I reached out to maybe 6 or 7 of them and was just like, here's this project, are you interested? And also asked questions along the way, and they were all kind enough to answer. So it gave me more of an idea of like, that's what they do and that's the process. I ended up going with an amazing man named Mike Malkovich in Paris. And he just so connected to Allie and the kitsch aspect. And he had made like, movable, like Allie also did, art that has different parts that move. And he had done that. Like he just got it. And so I chose to work with him. I already had an illustrator that I found that I'm sure Allie led me to, who did the logo with me and the branding for the foundation. So he was totally on board. And the 3 of us just dove in and created this thing that, people have said that it's a pop-up book on steroids.
It really is. I've seen a few pop-up books before, but never one this elaborate. I mean, compared to other books out there that your designers worked on, are there books this elaborate, or was this sort of like a next level kind of enterprise?
It was next level for sure. And it's so funny. The paper engineer is really has done things for, huge brands and major things.
Right.
So he was very in this world. He kept saying, you know what? It's too much detail. You have to lessen the detail. And I just stood my ground. I was like, nope. That was Allie.
Yeah.
So we finally, I said, okay, he was like, but things are so small. And so I considered a few things, like maybe we include a magnifying glass in it. And then finally we came to, actually Neil McCullough, the amazing illustrator, had the idea. He's like, why don't we do a separate poster where we can enlarge certain things and do descriptions of certain things in her collection and make it downloadable so at the first page of the book is a QR code and a thing like, bonus collectible poster. And that's available online. So Mike, the paper engineer, was like, okay, like begrudgingly. And he was amazing. And I totally understood his point of view, but I just thought, the purpose is to capture Allie, and there is nothing just clean and simple about that.
You said that you felt like Allie led you to your illustrator. Just a feeling you had, or like, how did that unfold?
Well, I was doing the logo, and I had a vision for it, which is the back of her house. By the way, she called it Willis Wonderland, for those who don't know, because one of the songs she wrote, one of the hit songs for Earth, Wind, and Fire, was Boogie Wonderland. And she bought this house in North Hollywood, which was rumored to be the MGM party house.
Right. I
She
love
bought
that.
it with, I know, right? With her first residual royalty check from writing Boogie Wonderland. And so that's how it became Willis Wonderland.
One of my best friends, Matt Zarley, lives a block over, and that house looks nothing like any house in that neighborhood at Willis Wonderland. No, it's an Art Deco thing, and the designer was famous. 1937, I believe.
William Chester.
Yeah. It's different than anything else. And I love that idea that she made it big with this big song, and there was a very specific thing she was able to do with that money.
Right.
I like that. It's satisfying.
I know.
I don't know why.
I know. And the house, by the way, is bright pink, as you saw.
Yeah,
so
fabulous.
that makes sense as well.
So you were talking about how you found the illustrator, and you felt like Allie's guiding hand there.
Thank you. So I had the vision of doing the back of the house, which is really spectacular and beautiful, as an illustration. And I'm a artist and graphic designer, but I'm not an illustrator. So I thought, let me just gather, I call scrap, just like some ideas and inspiration of how I'm seeing this logo. So I looked around and I found, I looked for, mid-century modern illustration, house illustration. And I found something I really liked, and I went and looked, and it was for a logo called something like The Wonderful World of Kitsch. It had the word kitchen in it.
Amazing.
Which, what? Just blew me away. That just a house illustration led me there. And then when I researched further to find out who had done it, I found this illustrator in Ireland. And I reached out and I said, would you be, game to work on this? And it's why I believe Allie led me there especially is because she was so about helping empower people and creativity, as again, I have been through everything I've done. And after we did the logo and the first project, he said, I was at a really big crossroads in my life and my career at that point. And I was about to close my business.
Wow.
And this project and you and Allie just brought it back to life. And now he's thriving. And so that's why I think Allie led me there, seriously.
That's beautiful. I find that very moving and very resonant with a lot of what's happening now in the world. Did you ever meet either the designer or the illustrator face to face? Was it all done virtually?
All virtually. Completely, in 3 different time zones.
Wow, because a pop-up book is very tactile. Like, you want to look at it and feel it. How did that work with the paper engineer? How was he showing you what he was doing?
So I would start with giving a photo of the room and how I wanted the spread to look.
Right.
And he came back with a mock-up of it, like where things could fold.
Right.
And then I'd be like, well, could we maybe add a this there that pulls out here? Here, I'm going to show you.
There's all these little special touches, like little secret things, like a wheel that changes the time of day from day to night. All these little add-on things. It's just delightful.
In her recording studio, I said, can we have just all the platinum and gold records, which are lining her wall, and then pull to reveal what the songs are and what they were all for.
Yeah.
And for the bedroom, she had what we call an enormous collection of kitsch couture.
Yes.
So I asked, could we have a chest that opens and you pull out Allie wearing several of the outfits? And he was so collaborative and amazing. He was like, sure. And then he would come up with things like, what is the skylight was his idea to put the day to night, and that might have been meals, but all 3 of us would come up with ideas. So then he would do a mock-up of how everything could function with folding wise. And once that was finalized, then I would do another mock-up of every single detail of the things I wanted illustrated in there.
Right.
And get that to Neil, the illustrator. He would illustrate everything. And then Mike, the paper engineer, would send Neil a template where it's just a flat, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, piece of paper, let's just say, with all the different elements just laid out, not in anything that looks like anything.
Right. This just needs to be her arm because it comes out of the side of this thing. So you're just drawing the arm here or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he took all the illustrations and put them back into then he would do prototypes of folds and send us videos, and we'd give notes from there. And, it was a crazy, amazing process, and it was a great collaboration.
What do they think of the finished product? I just think it's unbelievable. When you look at it, you can't believe it,
Yeah. I know Neil, the illustrator, is over the moon, and I'm sure Mike is too. But I think he's more used to things. But he loves it. I mean, what's not to love? It's pretty special.
How long did it take?
Well, it took about a year, but all three of us were working on other things.
Sure. That's not that bad for as ambitious as this is. Yeah. Yeah. Did you take hundreds of photos? Were you sending him photos all the time of every different thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the different rooms in Allie's house because they're so unique. The opening spread is from the front. Talk to me about the bowling ball garden. She had a garden of bowling balls.
She did indeed. And every page also, besides including text that talks about the room and the collection, also has a quote and from press. And so the New York Times said she used to shellac the bowling balls that are lined up like rose bushes in her sand garden. And yes, it was one of her. It was just beautiful because it really complemented the beautiful pink house when you drove up. And she had created these like amoeba-shaped cement areas with grass around them in the front and the back.
Yeah, it's just it's spectacular. And then you go into the living room, which is kind of the hangout room with this gigantic candy dish that holds like 25 pounds of candy. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm so glad you could see it too. That was one of the things Mike was like, that's so detailed. Will anyone really see the candy? I was like, still, we have to do it. It was all vintage candy, like long sticks, the pixie sticks, the powdered sugar things, and yes. And a lot of her collectibles are in the living room, a lot of her artwork as well. And the quote there's a special pull-out tab that pulls Allie out in a chair, and the quote is from the LA Times, and I think it really sums her up. It says this: the Jetsons hired Willy Wonka to be the interior design.
Right, that makes perfect sense. And then we go into the recording studio, and you talked about how the gold records on the wall pull out to reveal the titles. There were a few on there that I was not aware that she wrote, even after watching the documentary and researching her. I did not know she wrote "Lead Me On" by Maxine Nightingale.
Right,
a personal favorite. Currently in my jukebox, yes.
What else?
I did not know that she wrote "What Have I Done to Deserve This" with the Pet Shop Boys and Dusty Springfield. Love it. Also in my jukebox.
That's a great story because she was hired. She was also a multimedia artist, and she was hired by the Pet Shop Boys to go there and do a painting of them for their album cover.
Wow!
Which actually in the pop-up book you see in her art studio spread.
Oh, I love it.
And she went there and maybe mentioned she also wrote some songs, and they're like, yeah, right, okay, whatever. And then mentioned some of the songs, which are like September.
Right, classics.
By our Neutron Dance, the Pointer Sisters. Friends theme song, huge hits. And they started collaborating, and they wrote What Have I Done to Deserve This at that time when she just supposedly went to paint their album cover.
I did not know that story. The other song I didn't know she wrote was Shopping from A to Z by Tony Basil, which I remember is like this. What I remember about that song is they do an A to Z list of all the things, and there's one letter where they're like, nothing. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm talking about? Is it X, nothing? Now I remember. Like it's B, bananas, A, right. And then they get to something and they're like, nothing. That's what I remember.
It's gotta be X.
Yeah. So that's the recording studio. And then from there, we've got the fabulous bedroom with the trunk full of outfits. Yeah. And her outfits were a Dayglow delight.
So many things. They were mismatched patterns and really fantastic. Kitsch couture.
Yes, there she is on the floor on a typewriter. The pictures of her, you know, you need to find the best pictures of her, right? So where did they come from?
So what I decided early on was everything would be illustrated except for her.
Right.
And she needed to be in every room. And I wanted to represent different eras because she had so many different looks. So like on the cover is her like early 80s punk look.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for those who don't know Allie Will, she also had asymmetrical hair, one side longer than the other. That was like her signature look for decades.
Since the time you met her, she was doing the asymmetrical.
No, that's the thing. I met her so early on, her hair was the same length.
Wow.
But shortly thereafter, it never changed. Yeah, so I just found different pictures that just felt like it was a variety of eras, times, outfits, things like that.
And they're alive. There's something alive about the pose she's wearing or the expression or something, and they suit the atmosphere. I love The Office with the cool, like.
Oh, wait.
Oh, did we skip a page?
Yeah.
Oh, the kitchen with that cool pink booth and all of the great, like...
Look, it's behind me. Do you see it?
Yes.
Behind me.
There it is, the booth. And when I was there yesterday, there was a photo of Billie Eilish sitting in that booth.
That's right.
While Allie was still alive, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Allie had so many amazing people in this house for various reasons and most often collaborating.
I love that. Yeah. And the kitchen is, they sometimes spell it the kitsch, Kitchen.
I did. How could you not?
It's there. You might as well go for it. What exactly is kitsch? How do you define it?
There's a hilarious video that Allie did about what is kitsch, but I just think, well, for me, it's sort of anything that's so bad it's good.
Yeah. I like that.
Just like what? Like what were they thinking kind of, but with style, like not just bad things. It was sort of like the old Gong Show. Someone was talking to me about that yesterday where they were trying to explain it to someone. And I said, even like the bad acts were so bad they were good. They were like clever bad acts. They weren't just terrible acts.
They were going for something. It's going for something. It's not half-assing it. That's what you kind of have to give it up for them. And you kind of have to love them for it because they were unabashed, right?
Just oddball, for sure.
Then you have the fabulous office.
Yeah, it's her art studio.
Oh, so she would do a lot of painting in there, and that's, yeah.
She had an alter ego, Bubbles the artist, who did ceramics and paintings, and she, some of pop culture luminaries collected and still do, Bubbles the artist. Recently, RuPaul did a video of him in his office, like giving a tour of all his Emmys and his office. There are 7 Bubbles paintings on his wall.
That's amazing. Is it the Architectural Digest home tour one? I saw there was one of RuPaul that was fabulous. That was
it could have been. And that office is really orange and brown.
Yeah,
and
incredible.
Check it out. If you see it again, you'll see 7 Bubbles paintings.
7 Bubbles paintings in there. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and Lily Tomlin's a big collector. And to the Washington Post, she said that Bubbles was one of the most important artists of our time.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
When you come over and when she was in Bubbles mode, as a creative person. Was it different? Was it a different Allie, or was it always the same no matter what she was doing? Or was she like, oh no, I'm being painter Allie?
I think it was just always the same. She was just, when I, witnessed, it was just, she did like serious things too. Like she co-wrote the music and the score for The Color Purple, first the musical and then the movie. She didn't do the score, but all the songs.
Right, the songs.
Those were like incredible and moving and I had the privilege of being able to come over and hear them in the studio as she was writing them. And just, she really, anything like, she actually hated Broadway musicals, which is hilarious.
Wow.
So finally, when she had the opportunity to do The Color Purple, she just was like, sure, I can do that. And just studied and wrote. She and her collaborators went out and got books on how to write for musical theater. And she would just always go for it.
Well,
she was inspiring.
In the documentary, I think they showed that they kind of had to audition to write the music for The Color Purple.
Oh,
like
100%.
they had to compete with other composing teams.
Oh, and not only that, the producer was someone Ellie knew, a friend.
Yeah.
And he kept going to her and asking her, can you recommend anyone? Can you constantly, can you recommend anyone? And she was like, hello.
Yeah, me.
And she collaborated with Brenda Russell.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, why am I not thinking of his name? And I love him so much. And I see him and it'll come to me.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
And then we have the rec room, which may be my favorite room. It's kind of, because you kind of go downstairs and it feels fun. And it has all kinds of like games. There's a Bee Gees puzzle. The thing that caught my eye was the cereal box with Vanessa Williams as Miss America on it, because that was a very specific moment. She lost her crown.
Absolutely.
What was the cereal? Was it Cheerios or no? It's cornflakes. I remember
like Kellogg's. Yeah, it's Kellogg's. I remember seeing Kellogg's.
Kellogg's. Sure. And there's all kinds of black artists represented. And I remember in the documentary, Allie grew up in Detroit, and that culture was very important to her. And her father was like, stay away from that. And and I
her a note, stay away from black culture.
It was so poignant in the documentary, and it ended up being such a great part of her journey and her art. So I'm a big fan of the rec room.
Stephen Bray.
Okay, good.
I talked to Stephen. Love him.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
So Stephen Bray, if you're listening, shout out. And then you have the incredible backyard, which was home to...
just one more other thing about the rec room, because she did collect a lot of black culture things. And she felt her friend and collaborator, James Brown, curated the downstairs and encouraged her. So she felt like, she wasn't appropriating anything,
right.
And it was all the right thing.
Right. He weighed in and he gave it the approval. I love that.
Yeah.
He feels good about it. Get it? That's rough. I'm sorry. And then the last fold out, I think, the last one is that incredible backyard with the pool and home to many, many parties. And I assume you went to a bunch of those.
I did. Her parties were legendary. And the thing about Allie was she loved highbrow and lowbrow, and she would have like total A-list celebrities with D-list. Like there's a photo I have, I can send it to you. It's of her with Joni Mitchell and the Del Rubio triplets.
You gotta love it. Yes.
Yes.
The Del Rubios were iconic, but like they would pop up in random places, they were kind of campy.
She helped really fuel their career too.
Yeah.
And so that's like the epitome of the A-list and D-list. So they were always themed and always had an event. There were like a soap carving parties and, like a slumber party where, and Cyndi Lauper and, Barry Manilow, and she was good friends with Paul Rubens, of course, Pee Wee Herman. He was always here. And, you never knew who you'd see, and it was always interesting. And she was like, if someone is like fully a blacksmith or whatever, like just any fully expressed who they were and what they were doing. She appreciated that. And that was just as important to her as a celebrity.
And that was beautiful. And I think she would love this book. What was it like the first time you held one in your hands after all that virtual work?
Oh, my God. Well, what's interesting is the printers first send a totally white copy, a blank copy. So you can check all the functionality and the folds and everything. So that was a trip. It's really cool. It's just everything's all white and blank, but everything folds, moves, pulls, spins. And so it was kind of like an easing into it since I saw that first. Right. And then when I got the book, I was just over the moon, just delighted. And I'm just, I wanted everything to be perfect for Allie, for the book. So they sent a copy and I was able to give notes. So I had final notes and things like, how come the window here is doing this? And the illustration of this is missing here. So I had the opportunity to do that. So it's really like, there's nothing in it. I'm like, oh, I wish we had done that. Right. It's just really 100% there for me.
Were there any fails or things like you tried something and you're like, that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Or these things you kind of had a vision for, but it was like mechanically just didn't.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to think what that was. In the rec room. So there's a linoleum floor that's beautiful inlay of sea creatures. And I wanted, when you opened it, there's a whale like in the foreground, and I wanted like a paper like water to spout up and out when you open it, but that couldn't be done with the fold because it wouldn't fit here.
Because they all affect each other. They have to lay flat. Are they hand assembled? Who puts these together? Is it a machine? I can't imagine.
It has to be. They can't be hand. So there must be machines. It was done in China, thank goodness, before all the tariffs, or else we wouldn't be able to get them out now. Right. But it was done there at a wonderful paper manufacturer who does pop-up books. Yeah. And I believe they had to have been machine assembled.
Yeah, somehow. But it's so detailed. What are the favorite little touches of yours where you're like, I love that. That's my, yes.
In the art studio, I used a picture of her with her dog on her lap. Oh. And I thought, why don't we make the tongue kiss her? When you pull it, the tongue goes up and down and kisses her face.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's a touch I appreciate.
Wait, okay, I'm open to that page now. Where do I pull? Oh, there's the tongue.
Yeah, to the left. There's a tab to the left that you pull.
Ah, there it is. Yes. Oh, cute.
See, I think I'm really, in the beginning when I got my first copy, I had some friends come over and I was like, let me just watch you look at it. And I saw some things from that. Like, okay, they didn't know this was here. Like the skylight. Yeah. That in so you can see the different night and day. Yeah. They missed that. It was blocked by something else. So I added spin me so you can see like.
Well, I just realized that there's those pull-outs in the office too, with the with the all the other pictures. Like, there's going to be little things people find every time they look at it, little details that they missed the first time.
I think so.
Just incredible.
The other thing I really appreciated was in the bedroom. Mike, the paper engineer, came up with this because we're seeing it from the door, so the bed is. Like the back of the bed is to us. So he created, it's flat when you open it, and then it says pull to lock, and you pull a tab, you lock it on the page, and then the whole bed and with the shoes under it and things stand up.
I do that. I just did it right now. It felt so good. Gosh, I remember pop-up books when I was a kid, and they just seemed miraculous, and this is just next level. You mentioned the Gong Show earlier, and I went back and watched your clip of when you appeared on the Gong Show. And what I feel like it has in common with this book and also the book a la carte, which we can talk about, you execute on such a high level. Like, okay, we get the idea of this. Oh, now she's going to do that. Oh, now she's going to do that. Oh, now she's going to do that. Like, I mean, like everything would be an A if it were here, and yet you keep going. The Gong Show bit was a bit where you sang a song while juggling, and the words to the song were about a guy, and you can't get him out of your hair, and you pull a ball out of your hair, and it just keeps building and building, and you don't drop one of those balls. You talk about him being crotchety, and the ball goes in your crotch. Like, it was just incredible. So I guess my first question is, you didn't drop those balls on the Gong Show.
I didn't, which it was it's pressure.
But also like this thing of like, oh, most people would be okay with it here, and you need to go here and here and here. Is that an observation that resonates with you, or is it just my point of view?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel that. So it's delightful that someone else gets that. So thank you.
I want to ask more about that, but I'll describe a la carte first, which is a different book that you did, and I think we did an interview about that back in the day. You found shopping lists in grocery stores over the years that you collected, then decided, okay, who are these people? I know I'm going to imagine, like, take 26 of them, imagine who they are, get hair and makeup and become those people and do a photo shoot in a store and then write a story about them. And it's also done on such a high level. Like, so what do you when you think of that project, what comes to mind? What memories do you remember? And
thank you. I loved doing that because, it includes the original list. And I really had to go through a lot of lists to decide which ones to include.
So you had way more than 26. You must really have an eye for those things.
Hundreds. But, I find them in the shopping cart or on the ground, outside, whatever. But, a lot of them are fairly standard. But then there's some that are just like, what? One of them I remember had like milk, cheese, cream cheese, whipped cream. It was all dairy products. And then the last thing was Gas X.
Yes.
Really?
They knew themselves. They knew what they liked, and they knew what they needed to treat it with.
Exactly. And another one was mouse traps. I think it was cheese, mouse traps, and mouse. Like, I have to look. Now I don't remember.
Right. No, I saw that on your website. I guess they needed a mouse to go with the cheese and the mouse traps.
Yeah.
But yeah. You did another project called, I think, if this is the right title, Find Me, I'm Yours. Which was a digital book, but it had all these other things, like 30 websites that went with it, and this connected to that, and that, again, like this high-level execution where it just keeps going. Do you feel that happening when you're working on something like, oh, but then I could do this, but then I could do this? Yeah. Do you ever be like...
And a lot of times, it's like with that project, it was so beyond, so before its time that it was like almost too over the top. But the thing about that I think your listeners would appreciate is at the time I wrote it and created it, chick lit was very popular.
Right.
And so I decided, since you went into these worlds, which we were calling story verses before metaverses, where in the book, you go into these websites and videos and everything. So I decided to call it Click Lit.
Love it.
Instead of Chick Lit. But anytime I was interviewed, it's very hard to say.
People would say Click Lit.
Exactly.
Just like on the 5 o'clock news, KABC. Right? Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It was an idea that went nowhere. We'll leave it there.
So you and Allie share a sort of creative adventurousness and like a diversity in terms of what you're into. Were there times when you would have to sort of boost each other up? Because those roads are hard, being a creative person and keeping going. And was that a part of your friendship as well, as like, hang in there, or this will be great, or sorry about that, or this? Like, how did you guys support each other through the ups and downs? Is that part of your dynamic?
Either one of us ever questioned the creative part.
Yeah.
So it was always the business part of it.
Yeah.
Will this go somewhere? Is this now the time, or is it too early for this? We collaborated on something in 1999 where I had a a digital network doing shows. And it was like, we were working with Microsoft, who was like, streaming's coming. And it was still like dial up AOL.
Right.
And we had deals. We were doing a show with Jennifer Aniston, and she was on Friends at the time. It was a big deal. And the technology just was not there. We were so early. And Allie ended up doing this show like in Flash. Remember Flash?
Yeah.
That Flash was like a technology from the, late 90s, early 2000s, because we were shooting it and there was nowhere or way to stream it. So we were always, I think both of us were a little ahead of the curve on things, although I think she hit the timely mark better on certain things.
Well, yeah, she had a big web project, like a multiverse kind of thing, and similar to what you're doing, like all these different levels. Yeah.
Yeah. She had Mark Cuban before he had done anything, was the CEO of, she called it Willisville.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that. And way before the time. So So in that way, we commiserated about that kind of thing for sure, but never questioning creativity or what we were doing.
Right. No, but just things that rejections, disappointments, the part things that come with the territory. But, that thing of like, keep going, you're onto something. It's still important to be creative. Because right before we logged on, I got an email saying I applied for this thing and I didn't get in. So it was one of those moments, right? What have you done in your career to kind of push through those? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. I usually just make a left turn.
Yeah.
Like, what's next?
Right. You pivot. You pivot a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just know, there's so many things I want to do and new things I want to attempt and learn. And, I just got interested in motion design and just started teaching myself that and making things and for documentary films and things like that. So it's just like, I just never want to stop doing that. Just like what excites me next.
Right. Well, I saw some of that stuff on your website. They're visually really cool. And it feels like with the pop-up book, they're like, I've never done one of those, but I'll figure it out. Like that feels like your personality. Like, okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's part of the, intrigue and excitement of it.
Yeah. What's something you're particularly proud of, the way it all came together?
With the book? Or
no, with anything that you've worked on, yeah.
I think just that I've stayed true to my vision.
Yeah.
And I've had a vision, I've gone for it, and haven't compromised my vision.
Yeah, I think I relate to that a lot. I kept going. Like it's not the individual things, it's like you keep going. You hang in. Yeah. Even when it's not going great. You were in Xanadu, and I'm not going to do 20 minutes on Xanadu, but a solid few would be fine. You juggled, right? What do you remember about it? Talk to me.
I was in a couple of scenes. I was in the scene that was shot in Fiorucci, all over the world.
All over the world, of course.
And then also in the final number, I was juggling. Yes, I was. But it was amazing. It was so fun. I had just moved back to LA from San Francisco, and it was just like, oh my God, all these people and these dancers and these talented, amazing people. It was very much like a troupe, where we just for those two numbers, it must have taken a couple of months of working together.
Wow.
So every day you'd see them out, and especially the final number, because it was so elaborate with all the skating and the, everything.
When we
I watched.
Oh, go ahead.
I witnessed firsthand Olivia meeting Matt Lattanzi and that starting to happen and them starting to get together.
You could see it. You could see the vibes were happening. Yes.
It was happening.
He was so cute. They're both beautiful. When we watch the finished movie, where should we watch for you?
All right. In the Fiorucci, it's like I'm in the worst outfit. I don't know why in that scene all over the world. I'm in like a 20s bathing suit for some reason, like a bathing costume.
Right on.
But I do have a close up. So I'm in it a lot. And I have a close up where the glasses, Gene Kelly's in the middle, and we're all wearing glasses in spiral.
Yes.
And I'm in that. And what's really funny is it was just on TCM.
Right.
And on the TCM Anywhere, they show all the thumbnails of the films, and I happened to be like right there in the middle of it, of the thumbnail, which was very funny in that bad bathing suit.
Thank you,
and
TCM.
Then, right? I'll take it. And then the end, the final number, Xanadu and Magic. Yes, they all arrive in the club.
Right.
And they go under a whole shower of people juggling, passing clubs above their head, and I'm one of them.
What do you remember about Gene Kelly?
He was lovely, just so lovely and sweet and very available to everyone. And, you know, I think that was the last film he did, is it?
I think it probably was. He might have done something after that. I'm not sure. You know, I heard that there was, that they changed their minds about certain things as they were filming or scenes got cut or whatever. But do you remember feeling like, oh, this is changing a lot? Or do you remember feeling like, oh, they know exactly what they've got going here. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, for the two numbers I did, it was, they had to be so choreographed.
Right.
That nothing much changed. It was pretty straightforward. Because there were so many components. Especially that second. Well, even in all over the world, there's, running around Fiorucci, there's dressing rooms, there's Russell climbing under all the girls' legs. There's like so many things going on. I think it had to be really choreographed.
Did you audition for that? How'd you get it?
I actually have known Kenny Ortega, who was the choreographer, for years and years and years. And when I was 17, I lived with him, in fact. And
wow.
So we collaborated and did different things over the years. And I believe he asked me to be in it. I don't remember auditioning.
Well, judging by your Gong Show thing, your juggling was amazing. Did you just decide one day I want to learn to juggle? Like, how did that come about?
I knew someone who was a juggler, and I just tried it one day. And it was, at the time, kind of addictive. Like, I really just got into it. And it was also a way, I wanted to be a performer, but I was very shy and kind of introverted. And it was a way that I could perform, and it'd be like, look over here, like they were looking at the juggling, not at me. So even with the song that I did on the Gong Show, it was like, I don't really sing that well. So it was like, watch the juggling, it was a distraction. So I just got really into it.
But that number is delightful. I encourage people to go to Hillary's website, and you would see it there because I saw it somewhere. It's delightful, and it just builds and builds. Elke Summer was losing her mind. J.P. Morgan was beyond impressed. Who was the dude who looked kind of gay, but I don't know if he was gay?
He was completely gay. Rex Reed.
Rex Reed, that's who it was. Okay, yeah, no, totally. I was like, was that Robert Goulet? Like, who is that? And it's Rex Reed, of course. Duh.
Rex Reed. And he was like the Simon Cowell of the time, like the snarky one, but I did receive the very first 10 he ever gave to anyone.
You received the very first 10, and you have a sweet note on your website from Chuck Barris, who was kind of sexy. I think he's kind of sexy.
I know, right? And that whole thing where he, after the Gong Show, like said he was the CIA, like a murderer, and like worked, that was just crazy. But he, in my memoir, Queen of the Oddballs, which actually the chapter about the Gong Show is called Queen of the Oddballs, someone gave it to him, I guess, and he read it and just wrote me the sweetest note.
Yeah, and he said something in the note like, you have it on your website, like, you're my favorite on the Gong Show, and I never have favorites before or whatever. Like, yeah. And you won that episode.
And I did.
Yeah.
I tied with Cheryl Lynn. To be real,
oh,
to be real. Cheryl Lynn, Disco Sensation. It was pre that, and I tied. It was that episode or another. I was on several times, but I tied with her and then won. Wow. And
what did you win for being on the Gong Show? It felt like it was a weird, random amount of money, right?
It is. It was like $702.10 and a trophy, which I still have.
I love it. Now, you've been with your partner. Are you married to Maxine?
I am.
Yes. Maxine, is it pronounced Lapidus or Lapidus?
Lapidus.
Lapidus. Yeah. So you guys have been together a while. How did you meet?
We met through a mutual friend, through a mutual friend. Actually, we had a friend who was producing a film that I had written, and Kenny Ortega was going to direct it.
Wow.
And he kept saying, you have to meet Maxine, and vice versa to her. And then she went out with my writing partner, and Katie, who was also an ex, and Katie was like, no, you need to be with Hillary. This isn't right. So, like,
Katie was like, you know what? I have even better match for you than me. So she was like, wow. They just knew. And she's a writer and worked a lot in television and different sitcoms and directing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She wrote some of the big sitcoms of the time, including Ellen. She wrote the Kiss episode, Ellen's first lesbian kiss.
Yeah.
And we found something recently in storage, which is brilliant. It was from the censors to ABC saying, what they could and couldn't include in that episode.
Wow.
And I think they included, she kept called her this, and they can't really kiss. And I think they went ahead and did it anyway. So you have the notes about the lesbian kiss. So you were around for that whole Ellen coming out thing. You had a front row seat for all of it. She was, definitely.
What a time. That was an amazing time. Does having a partner or a wife that's also creative and gets the life of an artist, is that been a helpful thing? Like, one person's going through it, the other one can lift them up, and vice versa.
100%.
Yeah.
Also, neither one of us ever write anything without the other one seeing it and giving notes. It's just, very supportive and collaborative too.
Has being gay ever been a factor in your career, or did you ever experience any kind of bias from it, or was it ever a thing?
I mean, it's always, back in the day it was a thing, but not like I wasn't out to be some romantic lead or something that could have affected what I was doing. I was always, on the fringe anyways with my creative things and queen of the oddball. So it never really was an issue in that way.
I love it. I am so inspired by you. You just do shit. You make shit happen. I noticed on your website, you now have a thing where you can help other people do their pop-up books. I've learned how to do this, and now I'm hanging out a shingle. You just keep going.
Oh, well, thank you. You too. Look at how many things you've done and do.
From one hustler to another, I appreciate it, because I know there's times where you're like, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you felt like you couldn't get arrested, or where you felt that the lull was going on longer than the normal lull, or I'm asking for a friend.
I think, there's definitely been lulls, but again, I would just pivot. It'd be let's find a way to make something happen, or let's shift a little over to here.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm lulls to me are boring, a waste of time, not, I'm much more excited to be doing something.
Right. So if you feel like you're in a lull, you'll just create something for the sake of creating, because it's,
Right.
Yeah.
Or try something else or different, or, way back, I've always done things to create my own publicity and things, with my fake all-girl, all-ex-con band. And
I saw that on your website too. You had records out that were played on the radio, and what was your character? Was it a guy?
No, it was Angel. It was a girl, and she went to prison for nothing major.
Right.
And in prison, she saw the light in reruns, TV reruns, because they watched a lot of TV.
Of course.
And so it was Angel and the Reruns was the band. And the songs, it was all, comedy. The songs, our big hit was Buffy Come Back, which was an ode to Buffy from the 60s show Family Affair.
Of course.
And the actress OD'd when she was 15. So it was an anti-drug song, and just it took off and became a weird kind of K-rock hit, and Dr. Demento and that kind of thing.
And you seem like...
And then we were in the movie Bachelor Party. And
you were in the movie Bachelor
like
Party, right on. It seems like if a door opens, you just kind of go, right? You just make the most of every little opportunity that comes along, and you believe in yourself, obviously.
Thank you. I think I believe in my creativity.
Yeah.
More than necessarily believing in myself at times,
Yeah.
I think there's a little difference. So I will always, bow down to the creative impulse.
Yeah.
For sure.
Bringing it back to Allie, you're in the kitchen now. There's you're in the living room, the front room now, and I can see the kitchen in the back. And there's that amazing picture of Allie that you described for me when we did the tour. And I think I took a picture, which I can post on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
Talk about that picture, because it's incredible.
There's this amazing artist, Jason, I think it's pronounced Messier. I've only seen it written. I'm going to grab the book.
Okay, cool. It's probably like 3 feet by 3 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't see the top.
He also did a book called Pop Trash.
Right.
And what he did was he approached different celebrities and then created their portraits out of things in their drawers.
Right. Just like old matchbooks and like pens. Yeah. And it looks like them. Yeah. It's like a 3D. Obviously, it's sculptural in a way.
I think here I'm looking at some of the others in the book. He's done Farrah Fawcett and Charo, of course.
Of course, you got to do Charo.
Yeah. And it says like Ricky Lake, and then it lists like cosmetics and personal care items, remote control, playing cards. Like in the book, it says what's in it. I'm sure Allie's is like 10 pages long, just the description of what's in it. Right.
He just comes and takes stuff and then makes these cool pictures. So I'm going to post that on Instagram. It's really cool.
Yeah.
When I was there yesterday, it had a fun feeling to be there. And it's also very poignant.
Yeah.
Because she's not here anymore. What do you feel when you're in the house? Do you feel creative? Do you feel inspired? What are the feelings that come up?
Yeah. I'm always inspired here. And yeah, it is a mixed bag because she's not here, but so much of her is here. Like I'm looking here, I'm going to show you this. Just where I'm sitting, there's this.
Yeah, like it's like a fun like mask over, like a paper mask that you would have at a ball game or something of Allie's face. Yeah,
of Allie's, like staring at me. So it always feels like she's here.
Were there times making the book that you felt her?
Definitely. I would be, my favorite was when I get like little confirmation. I remember once being in the airport and I was giving notes to the paper engineer and I was fully in the middle of it, and Lead Me On came on at the airport on the sound system there. And so things like that, right? So many times if I'm talking about her or something and then like September will come on.
Yeah.
Or something.
That's amazing. Definitely. I'd rather be a fool with a broken heart than someone who never had a part of you. Oh, right. Wow. What a devastating lyric, right? Oh, it's so good. It's every slow dance in junior high. Right? Speaking of offbeat, how long has your hair been pink? It's like hot pink.
It is hot pink. Many years now. I went through a few different colors, tried a few different things, and it's been pink for a while now.
I love it. It looks really cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Tell people how they can find this amazing pop-up book.
Thank you. It's at Willis Wonderland, popupbook.com.
I love it. And anything else you want to promote? Your website is fantastic, HillaryCarlip.com. The other books that we mentioned, wonderful. I'm inspired by you because not only do you keep going, but you never phone it in. You're like, everything is above and beyond what it needs to be.
I really...
Like, I could see your friends going, no, it's enough. You nailed it. Stop. You know what I mean? You got it. I think it's amazing, just the level of execution. I'm inspired by it. Here's my final question.
Thank you. Listen, I want to Oh, okay.
Oh, no,
and
go
I have
ahead.
a question for you.
Okay.
What are you going to do for the 45th anniversary of Xanadu?
Well, I am part of a group of people called the Xana Crew, which is kind of loosely came out of this podcast. And we started having luncheons, and then we decided we're going to do a screening. So we're going to have a Xanadu. We're going to call it Xana Days or the Ultimate Xanadu Experience. I think there's actually a website, Ultimate Xanadu Experience, maybe. And we're going to be having things on there. We're going to have a weekend of events. We will be reaching out to you to come do a Q&A. We're looking at different venues now. There might be a roller skating component. There might be a concert component. Yeah, we have jackets made. Do you want to see my jacket? Like I have. I'm going to show you the jacket. I'll be right back.
Wait, this part will be edited out, I'm sure.
Okay.
Oh my God, it is gorgeous.
Right, it's that maroon color, and it's embroidered because it's at the end in the club. You see these jackets.
Of course you do.
We were at one of the early luncheons, and somebody was showing a clip, and you saw that moment, and I was like, I would kill for that maroon jacket. And everyone started looking around at each other like, can we let's figure out this thing. So,
all right, talk about going for things. Now my question is, the extra one.
Well, we're going to get more. So once we get the 45th thing, because there have been people that would literally rip this off my back when I wear it in public. So we've got plans. We will keep you abreast.
I'm gonna go into storage and find, because I've kept everything, and I have like call sheets and
we're gonna have you in for one of our luncheons, so we'll reach out to you about that soon. And then August is going to be the big blowout, Xana Days. Yeah. So here's my final question for you. What do you think Allie would think of this book if she were sitting on her couch and it was placed in her lap and she was looking at it?
I think she, and in her words, would be kvelling. I think she had this boisterous, loud, like, laugh and explosive, like, oh my God. So I think she'd be really happy.
Well, it's beautiful.
So, I mean, it feels like you're in her house, I think. Like it really transports you. And I think she'd be very happy.
Yeah, it's just delightful. Even if you've not heard of her or don't really know the music or anything, it's just the engineering, the ingenuity, the design, the words, everything. Just knocked it out of the park. So congratulations, and thank you for doing this podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Thanks again to Hillary Carlip. Learn about her wonderful book at this website, williswonderlandpopupbook.com. I think you can order it from that site as well. She also has her own wonderful website, hillarycarlip.com. All right, so this happened. As you may be able to hear, I have a bit of a cold. I think it's on the way out, I hope. But last weekend, I decided to go to San Diego. It was just starting to come on, and I'm like, I'm gonna push through, and I'm gonna go. So my friend Tom Goss, singer-songwriter, frequent guest on this podcast, he was doing a show down there, and I have another friend named Ari who lives down there who I hadn't seen in a few years, and visiting him was on my dream board. So I was like, I'm going to go to San Diego. So I took the train down, which I love, and it was a beautiful day. Ari and I walked around Shelter Island, and then we went to this beer bus at a place called Peck's, which was like a sexy gay bar with like this cool outdoor patio area, and that was fun. And then we went to see Tom perform his show. He's on tour just on his own, him and a guitar, and he has a piano there, and he played a song on the piano, and his shows are just delightful, and I've watched him evolve over the years as a performer, and it's always so fun. And then afterwards, we had a big group dinner, and then I rode back to L.A. with Tom, which was great. Got to catch up. And I was telling him that I was starting my Patreon, that I was a few episodes in and that I was enjoying it. And I was kind of like, I hope I give enough, stuff to make it worth it for people. And Tom, who's been doing Patreon for a while, he was like, look, the people that are on there support you. They like what you do, and they want to be in your corner. And so I kind of use it as a sounding board. Sometimes I'll go on there and post, hey, I'm thinking of doing this for this video or whatever, and he kind of uses it as a community, and it's not always obsessed on I'm giving value or I did this or whatever. It's more of they already like you. So use it in that way. And he talks about just getting cool feedback from things that he's thinking of doing, and knowing that it's like people that already appreciate what you do and want to support you. And so that I don't know, I found that very heartening. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not just about like, am I giving enough value? You know, like it's more about building a back and forth. And I was like heartened by that. So that's what you'll get if you join my Patreon at patreon.com. Search for Dennis Anyone. All right, that's enough for this week. Thank you for listening. I want to give a shout out to Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels for Placement Music. We'll catch you next time on Dennis Anyone. Bye.